I'm going to call to order the budget hearing tonight. After yesterday having the Cliff Notes version of the general overview of the budget, we're going to dive into the police and fire. Police is going to start fire, and if we have time, we'll start the public service department right after the fire. If anybody needs to take a break, just jump up, use the restroom, whatever you need. It's not a formal setting. If you have anything, Joel, do you have anything to say before we? Okay. All right, we're going to take it over to Chief Began.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I wanted to start off with giving just a little, few highlights of the year with our division and some of our officers, some of the things that we've accomplished. So the first one, we were able to finalize lateral transfer hiring. We had to do a lot of process changes with that, and that kind of carried over from 2024 into 2025. And I'll speak on that in just a little bit about the success we've had with that. And I believe Joel touched on this yesterday. We have reestablished the K-9 program. Our K-9 officer's been in service for about a month now, and he's doing very well. We also had the flat camera system that we purchased with federal grant funding that was fully covered for the first 2 years. That is up and running, and we've had really good success with that. We've been able to quickly apprehend a robbery suspect right after a robbery out here due solely to the flat cameras and our officers' efforts. And then one other thing I'm just, I guess, proud of. So we started the Red Cross Blood Drive events out here as a one-time thing, and it's turned into a permanent location because we've had such a good turnout every time. So every other month, we are now a permanent location for them. We had 3 retirements in 2025. We had Sergeant Jeff Martin, Officer Scott Wells, and Detective Sergeant Ed Depinet, all retired over the summer of last year. They had a total of about 90 years of service in police work altogether. Did very well with our department, very proud of them. As far as the current personnel, we had, as I spoke of earlier, our first group of lateral transfers that came in. We had 5 officers that started in January. Some of the benefits of having lateral transfers is having experienced officers who don't need as much training to get up to speed and to hit the road. They've done very well out here. We have a picture of Officer Panning and K-9 Zorro, who's our first K-9 officer. We also promoted Sergeant Ben Brasi and Alex Thomason over the summer as well. Just to share on a few of the community events and the engagement that we've done, we hosted the 4th annual Heroes and Hot Rods Car Show with State Farm as a sponsor on that. Very well attended, several hundred people that were there, several hundred cars that were there, and many more citizens that came out. Food trucks, there were things for kids to do, and all kinds of stuff with that. So it's grown every year, and we look forward to next year's for the 5th annual. We had our first ever Cops and Cones event with the Dairy Queen up on Navarre, who had reached out and offered that, and that had a good turnout. We had the charity softball game with the USA Patriots, which was a really fun game to be able to play against the wounded veterans. Of course, our annual police and fire softball game in conjunction with the Bay Park Emergency Preparedness Softball Tournament. Our yearly Safety Town. We did 2 DEA drug take-back events. The last one was in October, and the one before that was in April. Gives the community a chance to get rid of unused and unwanted medication so they're not in the home causing a dangerous situation. And lastly, we still have one other event coming up. So we have our next blood drive on Friday, December 12th here at the police department, and we partnered with Colton Strong Kids, which is a child cancer charity that helps families going through that. So I encourage anybody who's interested to come out for that as well. To give some of the statistics and numbers for where we're at coming up on the end of 2025, we are currently sitting at 45 sworn officers with the 3 retirements last year. In July of last year, we have 3 positions to fill. We have 2 additional retirements that are coming up. The last working day for both of those employees will be in January. One will officially retire in February, and the other one is going to burn through some accumulated time. So we're guessing maybe early summer before he actually retires from the department. We are currently doing the backgrounds for the hiring process, and we expect to have our final interviews and make selections in mid-December. Our total calls for service in 2025, estimating it out towards to the end of the year, we're going to be at about 16,600 calls for service. And we have, and I speak about it every year at the budget meeting, we have reduced the calls of service that we respond to, or not the number of calls for service that we respond to, but how things are coded so they don't get billed as a call for service where we will be billed additional money by the COG. And lastly, we're going to be at about 1,900 total incident reports for the year. Some of the goals and objectives for going into 2026. We're hopefully going to be on our last year and fully transition into the Lexipol policies and procedures. We've been working on that for multiple years, and we should have it fully implemented hopefully early 2026. We would like to expand our defensive tactics training and complete vehicle operations training. We will add our second K-9 unit, who is set to graduate, I think, October 26th of 2026. And we still need to complete the purchasing of equipment from the COPS grant that will help with operations and training for the department. On the personnel side, our goal in early 2026 is to return to and maintain the full staffing level of 48 sworn officers and 3 non-sworn positions. We're currently approved for the 3 vacancies that we have. And just to give a little rundown on the personnel side of the budget, with overtime projects and other things, we do bring in reimbursement for some of the wages. And we're currently sitting at $443,000 in reimbursements. And we also get reimbursement for the state mandated professional training for our officers. And we're currently at $68,000 on that, and we will expect more coming in by the end of the year. So to get into our budget request for 2026, on the operations side, out of the general fund, our other supplies account, I just wanted to highlight a few of the different items in there. But the first one is for body armor replacements. We did put in for 19 sets for this year. We don't know if we'll fully use the whole 19 sets, but we had to submit for a grant, and we'll be reimbursed for 50 to 75% of the cost of those body armor replacements. And just to give some context, we do have to, every 5 years, the body armor expires and you do have to replace it. So that's what some of that is from, as well as new officers who will be coming on the department. We have portable training equipment that's fully funded through the COPS grant. We're still working on deciding which equipment we're going to buy for that, but it is fully covered and will stay within the budget for that. For the equipment maintenance, we did ask for a slight increase, up from $64,300 to $70,000. The price of maintenance and repairs and parts and everything have gone up year to year. So we did ask for a slight increase there. Out of our travel and training account, we asked for the same amount of $75,000 for the year. That does include our officers who are going to college and the tuition reimbursement that is contractual, or I think actually citywide. So that does come out of there. And the continued professional training, we do get reimbursement up to 40 hours for each officer where the wages are paid for them to attend that training. We do have 3 budgeted spots for the new hire police academy tuition. It's about $8,000 to send an officer through the academy. We hope to not have to use that. We hope that the officers or the people that we're going to be hiring will already either be in the academy or already be certified. But we wanted to put a placeholder in there in case we do have to put somebody through the academy. And a little change that we are requesting for this year is on the defensive tactics. We would like to have an outside instructor come in. We have a lot of young officers, and it's been quite some time since we've done that. So we want to have a professional defensive tactics instructor come into the department and train the entire department. And we typically try to do that every 5 years or so, so we are up for that. On the technology, under $5,000, fully funded through the COPS grant, we still have $87,991 of grant funding in there, and that would be for security camera upgrades and an expansion to town center, municipal, and rec complex. On the professional services account, we do have the standard annual Lexipol policy management subscription that we do plan to continue on it with, and it's been a very positive thing for our department. And then miscellaneous operating cost, we did have to add a new line item for a new expense, which is a Ferrozone 3D crime and crash scene subscription. That cost about $6,100 per year. The equipment was purchased last year using the federal grant funding, and now we just have to pay the subscription that comes with that. On the capital side, for building improvements, we do need to install some proximity card readers up at the training center. We have a request for $25,000 for that. And replacement of the property and evidence storage room, the cabinets and lighting in there. We currently have essentially shop lighting that's hanging down with wires and all that stuff. We should have replaced it probably quite some time ago. And we were trying to push it along, but it is time. It's probably getting to the point where it's a safety issue if we continue with that. Out of machine and equipment account, the Axon Taser contract, we're on year 5 of 5, so we'll get all the way through 2026 on that, and the current cost is around $37,000 for the year. We do know once we get out of this contract, or we finish up our year 5 of 5, the cost on that has risen quite a lot. And so it doesn't really affect 2026, but we know going into 2027, there's going to be some significant changes in the cost of that. So I just wanted to make note of that. We're also going to, or we are requesting an ultrasonic chamber firearms cleaning system. The point of this system is to be able to clean our firearms better, which will help increase the life of service for those. And we're requesting pivotal target training units. And essentially what those are, it's a turning target system that you can actually, you can move them around and set them up the way you want to instead of the current system that's up there where it's just a wall of them. And we're having a lot of electrical issues with the current system that is set in the wall, if you guys have seen that. But water has seeped in and it's very expensive to replace it. So we would like to try these 5 units for this and likely end up getting more to completely replace that system. On the capital side of the general fund, printer servers and networks account, the WatchGuard body cam, dash cam camera system. This is very similar to what we're going through with Axon. So we do get through 2026. It is about $40,000 per year. Going into 2027, we're going to look at our different options of the different vendors, but we know there's going to be a significant increase in the yearly expense for that as well. We have a request for WatchGuard dash cams, 4 new units, totaling $35,000 for the 4 units. And then we have an additional $186,033 for multiple pieces of equipment that's fully covered by the COPS grant, which would include a display unit, a VR training simulator, and security camera servers. For vehicle and auto, we have 4 Panasonic MDTs, which is just the mobile computer system within the vehicles, and that utilizes our computer-aided dispatch. And out of the COPS grant as well, we have $319,254 that is still left in grant funding. That is to cover a special response team transit van, the additional K-9 vehicle and outfitting that we spoke about last night, and 2 enforcer golf carts.
Chief Began, we do have a question. And council members, if you have any questions as we go, please just stop everything and ask to have your question heard.
Can you go back one frame, please?
Sorry. I was waiting for somebody else to do it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. He's running it, okay.
That's all right.
So when it comes to the computers, for the mobile computers, are those for existing police cars, or are those also for the 3 cars that you ordered yesterday?
No, these are for the vehicles that we'll order in November of 2026.
Okay,
So everything that went through yesterday was in the 2025 budget. This will be for the order we place in November, December of 2026, and we receive in 2027.
okay, so this does not have anything to do with the vehicles you ordered this month?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, on the same thing, the K-9 vehicle and outfit, didn't we do one of those yesterday?
So we did. So we had put in this budget request prior to getting the state bids and having all that stuff processed. So it will be paid out of the 2025 budget, but it was in here for the 2026 budget, so it will be readjusted. It doesn't change anything with the funding with it. It's still fully covered.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then with the K-9 unit and equipment, that's just the standard kennel, the training to pay for the actual K-9 animal, maintenance and care. We still have $98,644 in federal grant funding in that account to cover those expenses. For the,
I got one more.
Chief Began, just a second. Ms. Paulos?
So you're gonna get a second K-9, right?
correct.
So they'll each have their own car, they'll each have their own everything set up? They're not gonna split one car between the 2 dogs?
Correct, yeah, they will
Okay.
have their own vehicles, their own kennels at their houses, it's all completely separate. And they are take-home vehicles because they do take the animal home with them each night.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Powell.
So the capital fund that was moved to the 260 account, which is typical for our police cruisers and unmarked vehicles. So in 2025, we requested 4 police interceptors during our normal rotation of vehicles. We were looking at the mileage and the condition of the vehicles, and we believe that we can hold off on a 2025 purchase and move those funds into 2026 because of just the mileage and everything. So, even though we requested 4 in 2025, we only purchased 3 interceptors, which were the ones that we brought forward last night, and then just moved the 4th one into 2026, even though it would typically be a 3-vehicle year. We are also requesting 2 sport utility vehicles. These would be unmarked vehicles at around $60,000 apiece. And then we have the vehicle changeover for the marked units, which is about $25,000 per vehicle. And the unmarked vehicles are about half that, or just under $12,000 per vehicle. We also put a placeholder, or requested a placeholder be put in for the SRT vehicle equipment and changeover cost. We're hoping that we're able to find funds under the COPS grant that we can use to outfit that, but we wanted to make sure we budgeted in case it does go over, so we can outfit it the right way with that. So there was a $50,000 increase in that account. So for the budget totals for 2026, out of the 101 operating side, our total was $1,038,372. Of that, almost $115,000 is federal grant funding. Out of the 101 capital, we had $826,781. And grant funding in that account is $582,981. So the totals on the 101 account, we're at $1.865 million for that account, but of that, almost $700,000 is grant funding. And for the year-over-year comparison, we went down from $1.179 million for 2025 down to $1.167 million. So we did have a slight decrease in our overall 101 account funding. On the 260 capital, like I mentioned before, we did move 1 cruiser from 2025 to 2026 as a cost-saving measure, and knowing that our vehicle is good to get 1 extra year out of it. And so if you add in the $50,000 that we requested to outfit the SRT vehicle, that's where that increase was year over year there. And then the personnel side of it, which is contractually, obligated with that, we're at about $7.974 million for the year, which is up from $7.587 million. And that doesn't account the reimbursements that we get for overtime and the police officer wages for the training. And Joel did touch on this in the presentation yesterday, but we were asked to look at different ways that we can reduce the budget by about $50,000. So we were able to kind of prioritize some things for the year, and we came up with a few items that we can push back to a later time, and also, I guess it would be open for later consideration depending on the revenues for the year for 2026. But we had a Connex box tower, deck and stairs that would be for the shooting range, tables for the shooting range, a podium and sound system, and then there were additional line items that we reduced. We still kept the line item, but we reduced them by, 500 or 1,000, and that would be, we'd be hopeful that we would have reconsideration on that if the revenue outlook for 2026 is good. So that is all I have on our budget for the year. I'm happy to answer any questions. If anybody has anything.
Thank you, Chief Began. Council, do we have any questions for Chief Began? I know I wasn't sure if anybody wanted to dig a little bit deeper or have any questions on what he's presented.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Horniak.
one of the things as you were talking through this, Chief Biggin, and by the way, thank you for having everything together and well organized. I heard the sentence of water creeping into the shooting range. Is that a issue that has to be addressed? You were saying something got wet in there, then, and it created some issues. Is there an issue with water infiltration at the range?
Oh, okay, I apologize.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got a turning target system. I think that was in either 2016 or 2018 when they built the training range up there. So it's a wooden wall that's built, and then it has turning target system that is sitting above it. Condensation has gotten into those electrical boxes. So initially, the company that originally put them in has changed hands a couple times. We were finally able to get a hold of somebody. We had them come out and take a look at it. When they took them apart, the condensation had ruined quite a few of them because they don't even work anymore. So we were hopeful we could get those replaced, but the cost of replacement is significant. And so we looked at other options in these portable ones. It almost looks like like a portable poster board that you'd have for a presentation or something. And it's got a target that turns. It's got a little motor up top. So they're significantly cheaper, and there's a benefit to it because you can move them instead of just having a line of targets. You can put, if you park a vehicle out there, you can, put one off to the side, two in front. You can move them around and create even a better training environment for it. And just one other thing. So the wall, the current turning target system that's out there, the way that it's set up, it's off the berm by quite a bit. And some of the drills that the state of Ohio requires us to do is a shoot from the hip. You pull the gun out and you're in close proximity. But when you do that, the angle of your gun, because you're essentially shooting up, and the distance between that wall and the berm, we're afraid that rounds could leave. And that's why we didn't realize that was the issue. But we did build a wall up there last year, if you see the big wooden wall at the top of the range. And we found out after we built that's likely why the rounds were going up towards the top of our range. So either way, we would have to either take that wall down and move it back towards the berm. But with the cost to replace it, we think that these other targets would be a much better option. And it does create a opportunity for better training to be able to not have everything just right in front of you.
Okay, appreciate that. Like I said, my ears grabbed onto there was water infiltration in some method that caused an issue. And I thought, well, should we be talking about repairs needed to do that?
Yeah, I appreciate that. And we, like I said, we looked at the option of replacement and moving the wall back. We looked at these, and these are a really cool design, and they're portable. So we think it actually will be better in the end.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Horniak. Does anybody have any questions? Councilman Drake?
Yeah, I got a couple questions. Let me see. Chief, you talked about the canine dogs. I'm assuming they're just drug dogs.
So we do narcotics detection and tracking as well.
Okay. Oh, for like missing persons.
Missing persons
Okay.
for suspects who, they can try to track suspects. The dogs are trained in bite work in case we do have a, hostile, aggressive suspect. It doesn't happen too often in the history of the canine program out here, but our dogs are trained in bite work if need be.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And you talked about the Enforcer golf carts. Can you just tell me a little bit more about it? I mean, do they run radar or?
No, they don't run radar. They're for, mostly for special events. We did put those in for the grant, and we were approved for them. And if you see the fire department, they have you know, the golf carts that they use at German American Fest and other events. It just gives you another option to be able to move through crowds in tighter spaces, much easier than trying to get a vehicle in there.
All right, thank you. Then let's see. I should ask this last night, I don't know if it falls under the Capital 206 account here, about the place off Wynn Road, where I know it's not they don't do the same work as Ebles, it's that place in Oregon.
Yep.
PD something,
Yep,
Yeah,
PNR
PNR.
Communications.
yeah.
Windscape.
And what do they still do whatever they do for the police cars?
So they do have some options there. They focus a lot on radio systems. We do use DR Ebel. They are a state contract vendor, and they've done our vehicles for years. They do a really good job with it. We've looked elsewhere, but we keep getting back to DR Ebel because they've done such a good job for us.
Okay, all right, and just a couple more. I know in the past, the city bought bicycles. I didn't know if they still do the bicycles through the neighborhoods.
Yeah, we do occasionally. We still have officers, we have e-bikes. We also have the regular pedal bikes. We do get them out. I think the last time they were out was on Halloween. We'll do it as an overtime project, but it is an option to use those.
Okay. And then one last thing, I think I've said it before, I know this is a far-fetched, but the building improvements as far as, the oldness of it, the tiles, the mold, all that, hopefully sometime down the road, who knows when, but
Yep, and we have had some discussions on that, and that's why we're trying not to do a whole lot of improvements unless they're absolutely needed within the department. But we have spoken about it. We do know that the need's there, and we've spoken with the city administration, and I think that's something that, we can look at more in the future.
okay. All right, thank you. That's all I have. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you, Mr. Drake. Mr. Horniak.
just following up on that, have you done any preliminary high-level looks or thoughts of what it would take?
We have and we haven't. So we haven't done any type of, initially, when we looked at the possibility of an income tax increase to be taken to the voters, we were going to do like a feasibility study or design study of the department because we don't know what we can and cannot do with the building because it is an old building. So we have had some discussions. It really depends on if we're looking at like a rebuild of our current department, somehow doing an addition. I mean, we have thought about it, or even if it could be another location to build a brand new building. So we have looked at it. There's some benefits to keeping it here. I'm not a builder, an engineer. I'm guessing if we were to do it here with the age of the building and the condition of it, I think it would probably have to be a full rebuild, but that's just, thinking about it. We have not, taken any steps to have anybody take a look at the structure, if it is an option to do it here or not.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Horniak. Council, anything else? I did order a couple pizzas, if anybody's hungry, so we can have some Vito's Pizza in the back room. If you guys would like to grab something, feel free. We'll give ourselves a couple minutes. People can grab something. We'll get back with the fire department then. Yep.
Yeah.
Pound the gavel one time really hard. We got a new sheriff in town.
Jeez.
We're gonna get started on the fire budget. If you guys have any questions during the course of that, please just speak up. We'll interrupt if you don't mind. We'll ask the question so we don't have to try to remember to ask the question as we move forward. The floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members of the Finance Committee and Council, and for the opportunity to present the 2026 budget for the Oregon Fire and Rescue Department. I'll start off with talking about a few of the goals that we had set out for 2025. And one of the goals that we had set out was to obtain the SAFER grant. So we had applied for the SAFER grant in April, and then we received that notice that we were funded. One of the other goals was to promote the first 3 of 6 lieutenant positions. So we were able to complete that process. That process actually started in March of 2025, and the promotions didn't happen until probably August, I think is when that was, when that official went, just because of the length of time that they have to have for study time, take the test, assessment center, so on and so forth. And then after that, a couple of the other goals that we had was with the fleet replacement and reduction. So as you can see, we did replace the boat, and we are set to be selling the old boat next year is what that we'll do an ordinance to do that. As you remember, earlier on in the year, we had an ordinance to sell a few different types of apparatus, but we only put 4 apparatus on that to sell this year. We just sold the last one, thanks for all of Josette's help with all that, because there was a ton of work that went into, just getting that listed on Gov Deals and then being able to get those out. We did replace 2 support vehicles. We've received 1 ambulance. You've seen the first of 2. That ambulance that we just received was actually ordered back in 2022. And the second ambulance that we're gonna be receiving will be in the, we're hoping any first or second week in December is when we should get it. And that ambulance is actually ordered back in 2023. So it does take quite some time to be able to get these apparatus, but we're hopeful that that'll come here in December. And then the 2025 highlights, those promotions did happen, and we were awarded that grant that we set out to get in 2025. Couple other projects that we completed, those 2 command vehicles. I only listed 1 ambulance because I'm just hopeful that we're gonna get that second one in December, otherwise that'd be 2. The rescue boat, 20 sets of turnout gear. So this is the NFPA standard issued turnout gear that expires after 10 years. We've put together a program where, essentially we're not buying everybody's gear all at the same time. So we have a rotation in place. So it was A shift that was, their gear was replaced last year. And then few part-time that had the gear expiring. And then next year will be our C shift that'll get the new gear. And the few of the part-time that even start today, sometimes we just put those individuals in gear that's about to expire, but still within date. So we do have that built into our budget this year as well for the replacement as we continue that turnout gear replacement plan. Also in 2025, we did replace 10 MDTs, which is what Chief Began had talked a little bit about, those computers within the apparatus or in their vehicles, same as ours. So we get that's the in-vehicle computers. Stair chairs. Those stair chairs are actually $17,000 stair chairs. They're battery-powered stair chairs, and they came in very, very valuable when the senior loft's elevator went out. So these stair chairs are battery-powered, saving the individuals as they move patients. We normally don't move patients upstairs, unless they're found in a basement of some sort. But we do move patients a lot of times down the stairs. And so in the event that the stair chair that we currently had that these 2 replaced, those were manual stair chairs before. So those would have been, just putting somebody in a chair and really just, humping the weight of that individual up the stairs. We were actually able to reach out to our vendor at the time and get a demo, or essentially one that they had already had that they put out for a demo to let us use it at the first time that the senior loft's elevator had went out. And that's happened a couple times. And so we've taken care of that. The power loads, those 2 power loads, and we did have 2 power cots as well. So as you buy, the recommendation life period for those power cots and power loads is 7 years. So as we replace our ambulances, we do put in a new power load and power cot. So our 2 new ambulances that are coming are equipped with those as well. Couple of the other highlights throughout the year. We talked about the U.S. Patriots softball game, which was a great evening. I won't talk about the other softball game that we played because we did lose that trophy this year. But it's in good hands until next year. We up above there, you have firefighter paramedic Jeff Nissen, who had retired in 2025. So best of luck to Jeff. He served us very well for a long period of time. And then you have Angie Romano, who everybody knows Angie too. So she had retired in 2025, and Kim up there is who replaced Angie. So we're in good hands as she's made a good transition. Angie had a really good program, set aside and documentation and things of that nature to help that onboarding process. So that went really well. Just a quick picture of the front of that ambulance, and then you have the swearing-ins for Ryan Schaefer down there at the bottom, and then our most recent firefighter paramedic, Zach Bingham and Sarah Ellis. So very proud to onboard those individuals. As far as personnel goes, that puts us at 24 full-time on the line, so that's 8 firefighter paramedics per shift. That does include the lieutenant, and then they're under the direction of the battalion chief over the entire shift. And then in 2026, I'll talk about the statistics first. In 2024, just to give you kind of like the call volume where we were at. So 3907 or 3908 with an average shoot time of 1 minute 7 seconds and an average response time of 6 minutes and 10 seconds. We do average around 10 calls a day, a little over 10 calls a day for the crews. In 2025, our year to date, we're at 3546. And that's an average of 10.8 calls. So we're pretty close to being exactly what it was in 2024. We've seen a little bit of an increase or an improved response time, and the difference between the shoot time would be the minute 6 seconds, the minute 7 seconds. That's the shoot time. Our goal for that, just to kind of put that in perspective, is the goal for an EMS call by NFPA standard is for us to be out the door within 60 seconds. The goal is to be out the door for fire calls in under 90 seconds. That's an average of all calls that you're seeing there. So that shoot time is pretty good. The average response time is from the time that dispatch happens to the time we arrive on scene. So as you see, we've had a little bit of an improvement from the 6 minutes, 10 seconds to a 5 minute, 45 seconds. And that just depends, and we got to take into consideration a lot of the travel times and things for that as well.
Ms. Paula?
Yeah.
Yay, it's getting better every year. And those numbers, oh my God, I am so thrilled with those numbers. From the time I've sat here till now, that's exciting. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, and thank you to council and everybody that's been in support of that. And we've had a large transition in the last 3 years of, the staff and the, just staffing the second station as well has made a huge improvement. Moving staff up to the second station, adding that ambulance up there to start, decrease those response times by 1 full minute. So it's just and then it also putting our crews closer to the call where District 2 does, majority of the calls compared to District 1. And so that does play a huge factor in there. So we do appreciate that.
Can I ask a question, really quick
Yeah.
question to Mark Mullins, please?
Yeah.
What was the call 3 years ago?
So 3 years ago was about 12 minutes, and prior to that was over 15 minutes.
Thank you.
So it was a dramatic difference.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Very glad to see that. Thank you.
The 2026 goals. As we look out and we forecast in the future, you can remember just recall our strategic plan that we completed back in 2024. That leads us through to 2029, and we've completed majority of those strategic objectives in that strategic plan. But in 2026, we are going to continue with that SAFER grant where the performance and budget period for the SAFER grant is to onboard 9 of the full-time firefighters March 26. And so that's when the actual reimbursements would start. So we will start that hiring process after the first of the year, get through the holidays. There is a little bit of a process when it takes interviews and backgrounds and physicals that need to be done. It's a little bit quicker of a process if they're already on board with us on the part-time side. And then it's about just as far as the physicals go. So we're hopeful that we'll have, we did see the largest number of applicants on a full-time civil service list this last year with a total of 28. And I think it made it down to 22, if I remember right, being approved to be able to move on to the next step, which is something that we hadn't seen before. And as you've seen that we had 9 part-time that we just onboarded last night. We're very excited for those individuals as well to start with us and what the future looks like for them. But also we already have part-time in the queue too. So we will be full on the part-time side after those 9 last night at 30 part-timers. And that'll put us after this 9 full-time will put us at 33 full-time. So it's a good place to be at right now. I think the reputation of Oregon Fire has really been competitive in the very competitive market of trying to find firefighters and paramedics.
Chief, we do have one question by Mr.
Yep.
Roman.
Just one question on that SAFER grant. Is there any way you can get an extension at the point in which you need to fill those positions? If you said you're on your way to interview and start the process, can it be a month or 2 months or 3 months later?
So once we have the actual acceptance of the grant, now I just want to remind everybody, when the government was shut down, we weren't able to get in on the computer to actually accept the grant. So we have all the steps in place, and you can officially accept that grant on the computer by December 31st of this year. We put together a small team, Nick and I and Kim, and went over to Northwood and met with Northwood as they received that SAFER grant too, to kind of talk about reports and what the best way is to be able to make sure, because they've already had a year, ahead of us doing some of the reporting things. So I know it was a long answer to get to what you're asking, but when we do hit go on that computer, we'll be assigned a person to be able to directly talk to. So we'll be able to reach out to them and ask them if there is any sort of extension for that. I do believe that there is some leeway with those. The way that I understand it is essentially there's a bucket of money for a period of time, and that bucket of money has to be spent within that period of time. But strategically, we've kind of planned ahead of these things. And with what I mean by that is we've reached out to those individuals that are on our civil service list to see if they would be interested in, being on a part-time side. And if that does increase the chances of not only being hired full-time, because we want to make sure that not only we're a good fit for the employee, but they're a good fit for us. So it's a good, kind of introduction, if you will. And so that a lot of them have taken us up on that offer, and so we'll kind of see how that goes. And that might help us on the, speed of being able to onboard individuals.
What are the back-of-house operations to running that SAFER grant? Is going to be a lot of work for you guys on the back of the house operations to run that?
So after having the meeting and meeting with Northwood, we realized that it's not going to be as extensive as what we might thought. There's going to be lots of reports and paperwork that needs to be done. So we'll have to run essentially, our schedule from the fire department. We'll produce a schedule on every quarterly basis, and to show the days that those SAFER personnel had worked. And then there's some reports on the payroll side that you just got to prove, like, hey, they actually got paid. So showing those deposits into those accounts and for those specific individuals, the insurance and so on and so forth, with all the benefits of what they have. So I think that for the most part, from what I learned, if Nick wouldn't talk about on his end, it'll be a lot out of finance, but I'm hoping that they'll be able to handle that with some simple reports once we get a few reporting going.
Mr. Roman?
Yeah, Mr. Chair. I wouldn't say it's going to be a lot of work. It is additional work that will need to be done by the finance department. This is something that has happened in the past with the COVID-19 funds in terms of actually reporting on it. So we do have a pretty good understanding of what we need to do. So that will be done between our payroll supervisor and then our deputy finance director, Angie Sheehan. They'll work together in terms of getting all this put together on a quarterly basis. Like I said, we have some experience in doing it in the last couple of years, so it shouldn't be too much. It is additional work, but.
Okay.
Nothing we can't accomplish.
And Chief, if you will, the 9 additional staff that's going to be hired, how they get integrated in? Are they shift breakers? Are they floaters that will go around, or are they assigned A, B, C shift? How do you integrate those 9 when you have 8 already working per shift? Do we just add 3 per shift? So we'll have 11 full-time people operating at one time?
Mr. Chair, that is correct. Yes, they'll be assigned to each shift, A, B, and C. We'll add 3 to each of those shifts. And the way that the firefighter schedule works, you have with the time off and such. So what that's going to build for us, and what we've never seen before, and why this is very critical, is that 11 assigned to each shift by union contract, the full-time staff can have 3 individuals off. By having 3 individuals off, that still gives us a minimum staffing to be able to have a staffed engine and 2 cross-staffed medic and engine at the Station 42, and then a staffed medic unit at Station 41 on the very, very minimum days. That's not counting having any of the part-time staff signed up. So if part-time staff sign up, which we expect that they would, as 3 people are off on the full-time side, we have three positions that we fill on the part-time side. So essentially our goal is actually to be on an average of 10 personnel working per day. That'd be a lieutenant at each station, fire station number 1, fire station number 2, and then and with 4 firefighters. And that would be a breakup between 2 people on the medic units, and then 3 people on the fire apparatus. So that's our goal, is to have a 5 and 5, and majority of the time we should be able to reach that with that type of staffing.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ms. Powell?
How do you, what do you do with Station 43 now? Is that staffed? Is that on call? How are you manning that?
Mr. Chair and Kathy, the Station 43 it's not staffed. Chief Andy Laurel works out of Station 43 on he puts in an 8-hour day once a week, maintains the station and keeps those things, but then that station's there for general alarms. So individuals will respond in for general alarms, or we keep a medic and an engine. Talk about the future. So like a little bit of conversation in the future, what we're talking about with Station 43 is you've seen the UTV, the mini ambulance, and what maybe it looks like in the future of how we can integrate some individuals that still want to be a part of the fire department, but don't necessarily have the time to be able to do, 36 hours a week is what our requirement is for the part-time staff. So we have talked about creating that special events division where an individual with an EMS card could just be able to man the golf carts, man the UTVs at the GAF Boom Fest, the different types of football games that we cover, because we cover Cardinal Stritch, we cover the Clay High School varsity home games, and then any and all the events that happen that we're requested, throughout the year. Right now, if nobody signs up for those events, then we're essentially taking an emergency crew out there and stationing them there, and then we do have to leave if they do get dispatched away. So this might be an opportunity to be able to have some of our individuals that have retired in the past or have an EMS card that want to have a desire to be able to continue maybe just on that side. So we've been talking about that in-house of how that program might look in the future. And that's where Station 43 would kind of be. All those resources would be located out at 43s, and then that's where they would deploy from to each of those events.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
If I could just make a clarification. So you did say 36 hours per week. It's 36 hours per month.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
just wanted to make sure that we
36 hours
clarified
per
that.
month.
And then also with these additional positions, this will reduce the overtime that is needed in the fire department, correct?
With the lieutenant positions and the full-time sides, that is correct. Because right now, where the staffing goes, we do have a lot of overtime, even on the firefighter side, filling the shifts so we can just meet the minimums for the day. In the future, we won't have that overtime that's on the firefighter side, and then on the lieutenant side, we will be able to reduce the overtime with the battalion chiefs as they will ride out of class. So we're in this period right now where they've been promoted, and now it's about education and training and getting them to kind of understand what their role is, and then building them for that next role. So it's a good succession plan as well, and then they'll be able to move in and start covering those, Kelly days, essentially is when individuals are off.
Your overtime budget for '25, what do you anticipate your final overtime number will be, and how much would that be reduced in '26 as an estimate?
Well, as an estimate right now, I think we're in the 130s for depends on there's two different overtime budget lines. We're hoping to reduce the, down to 75,000 for the battalion chiefs and around the 40 to 50,000 on the full-time side. But it's a hard stretch because at the time of when we get, by the time, we won't really appreciate it on the firefighter side, and because these 9 individuals, although they get onboarded, they're not considered, minimum staffing until they're actually, through a period of time where we can actually consider them minimum staffing, if you know what I mean. So it'll take some time. We might not appreciate it as much as what we would like to in '26, but certainly in '27 for sure. We should more see the advantages on the lieutenant side, but you're riding out of classes. We'll start that probably around the first of the year, or I've been really hoping for March to start that, when we start the new process for the new lieutenants to be promoted, as we go through that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other council member have questions for Chief? Okay,
All right. We'll talk about.
good job. Go ahead.
Good. Go ahead. Yeah. So now we'll get into the 2026 operating budget. So in the fire department, we run a couple different funds. We run the 101, which is the general fund, out of the general fund. The 235 fund, which is our EMS billing revenue fund. And then the 237, which is the training facility. And then this year, you're going to see some out of the 260. But normally, ever since I've arrived in Oregon, my goal has always been to try to not really ask much out of that 260 fund, as we're trying to really kind of be under the 235. And I'll get into that, what that looks like. The general fund out of the 101. So what items increased and why, and then what line items decreased and why. So other supplies. The reason why that other supplies, the 52230, increased by 55,000 is because of EMS supplies. And that increase in EMS supplies came from when we transitioned from where, if you remember, just a few years ago, we made that transition to the full ALS service. Last year in the 2020, or last year when we did this budget, we were a half of a year seeing what it would look like when the Life Squad went away, where 25 is a full year of what the EMS supply was. So we were essentially just kind of estimating, we estimated about 75,000 in EMS supplies. Will be up a little that's why the main bulk increase of that account is going to be on EMS supplies to around that $55,000 increase. So we're looking at around the 125,000 for EMS supplies. 52290 uniforms. We do have to supply all those 9 individuals with new uniforms, and so that's where the $13,000 increase comes from that line item. And then the maintenance by contract. So the unique part about the maintenance by contract in 2024 or 2025 compared to 2026 is maintenance by contract was covered out of the 236 fund. It was discovered that there was about 100,000 in the 236 fund that could be used up, and usually we're right around that $100,000 mark in the maintenance by contract account. So it really worked well to utilize the 236 fund for 2025. So that's why you see a more of an increase in 2026 this year, is because now we do have to bring that maintenance by contract on out of the general fund 101 account. It did increase by 41,000 because that maintenance by contract, we did absorb the power cot, power load, Lucas device, and cardiac monitor from when we had the transition from the Lucas County system into our system. So those are the 3 accounts of the major accounts that shown an increase. Overall, the general budget did see an increase for the 101 account for us by 7.32% from 25 to 2026. The accounts that decreased, our automotive maintenance, we decreased that by 30,000. Last year, we had estimated to have some graphics done for the medic units. We are going to have those done. We won't have to have that back in the budget for 2026. And then the travel training. We redesigned our EMS education, and we've saved about, by doing that redesign with the 4-County Career Center, we not only are now receiving a better education but we've been able to reduce of what we were previously doing by $17,000. So those were the two decreases as far as the line items go. The 235, the EMS Capital and Operations Fund. So this account, what this account is just simply our EMS revenue account. I just kind of showed a look back from 2021 to current present date. As you can see, back in 21, we brought into that account $307,477. And then year to date today, and what we expect in 2025 is going to be right around that $900,000 mark. And there's a lot of factors that play in this role here. One is, I would say, at first and foremost is the crews themselves. Good run reports, good timely run reports being submitted to the EMS billing companies. And then we also changed EMS billing companies in early 2020 or late 22, early 23 is when we switched from we had went from a Medi-Count to an Acumed EMS billing, and then from Acumed to EMSMC. And EMSMC was bought out by, or EMSMC bought out Acumed. It's been a great transition for us, kind of just the same players with the companies, it's just they've changed hands, but there's better dashboards and reports and so on and so forth. The other major change here of why we're seeing the $900,000 mark compared to a $300,000 mark is because these are ALS runs. If you remember, with the Life Squad system, all ALS transports had to be done by the county truck. And that means that when whoever owns the truck is whoever gets to receive the EMS billing revenue. So if you don't own the truck, you're not getting the revenue. So Lucas County owned the truck, they receive the revenue, even though our personnel were contracted to do it. So in this change with this Lucas County system has been good for us because we not only maintain the $804,000 that we receive by contract every year, maintain that same amount, you've only seen an increase of $55,000, $55,000 to $75,000 in EMS supplies, but appreciated a revenue of probably double the amount of where we would have been on a good year. At 2023 would have been an all BLS year, where 2024, half the year would have turned into us doing all those ALS transports. So we're going to be up to around that $900,000 mark in the 235 fund.
Chief,
Yep,
Ms. Polliff.
We're still soft billing,
that is correct. We do still soft bill. Yep.
and so it's just whatever the insurance pays,
It's just whatever the insurance pays,
Right,
as
thank
long
you.
as they're a resident.
as long as they're a resident.
Yep.
Thank you.
Within our, and when I say that, when I say resident, I mean resident within our service area, because we do cover ALS for Jerusalem Township too. So as us getting that contract doing Jerusalem Township, if we go on an ALS call in Jerusalem Township and they don't have insurance, it'd be the same, it's treated the exact same as if you lived in Oregon too. So, yep.
Is that with mutual aid too, like if you go into mutual aid in Toledo or?
No, that is not. That would be an that would be an out of service area, which means that if that's a mutual aid, that would be a hard bill account.
Thank you for explaining.
Yep. So the 235, we try to utilize the 235 for a lot of our capital equipment. That's been the major goal as far as apparatus and large capital equipment, both on the EMS and fire side. In the 2026 request, again, we'll EMS equipment. So what you see there is 3 cardiac monitors. We did have that in the 2025 budget, but the Zoll manufacturer of that monitor, it didn't come completely out, where our crews weren't able to kind of get a good look or an evaluation of it. So we do run an EMS committee just as well as we run a fire engine committee, and we do it and break it down in committees. The EMS committee will be then, I think just starting up in December, we'll be trialing the first manufacturer will be the LifePak 15, or the LifePak 35. We have the 15 now. So they'll be trialing those, and then they'll trial the Zolls, where those will ride with the crews and they'll be able to get a good evaluation. So maybe the third quarter, we'll have a determination on what that's gonna look like if that project does come to light. And then the turnout gear, that's just gonna be with our continued plan, if we will. That's already been set in place of what gear that we're going to. Now, turnout gear is all split between 235 and 101. We do buy some turnout gear out of 101 as well. Communications, old devices, portable radios, that's what we'll, again, have 75,000 out of our 235 account. And then a couple things to just note out of the 235 that I wanted to make sure we touch base on was the SAFER grant matching funds. So if you remember, we got 25% of that. The matching funds for the SAFER grant will actually be transferred from the 235 to the 101. So that'll cover those funds as well. 235 also funds the station payment for 41. That's $330,000 a year. It'll now cover the SAFER matching funds, which is about $321,000 a year. And then it covers any of this large equipment here. So we do try to, keep out of this with all of it. I put Synovus up there just to touch base on that ordinance last night, the UTV. That ordinance will allow us to receive the funds for that UTV into the 235. And then that's how we can put a purchase order in place once those funds are received to be able to formally order that UTV. And just to talk about that time frame for that, that's an 18-month build for one of those units. So it'll be a little bit before we see it, but once that does happen, it'll be all coordinated with the family. And we'll actually be doing a small little bit tomorrow with 13 ABC about it as well with Synovus and them too, so.
And just to clarify, so that mini ambulance is not currently in the 26 budget. We had the books printed before we knew for sure exactly what the process was going to be. So that will be an addition into the 235 fund, is that mini ambulance in the 2026 budget. Just want to put that out there.
The 237 training facility, so that we see no change in or increase in the 237. We budget $47,000 per year for the training facility. It takes care of all the operating costs and things of that nature. Out there, so different supplies and Paginite. But what I wanted to just touch base on real quick is just to kind of show you a project that we had been working out of that's going to be out of for the training facility. And we started this project maybe, I don't know, we've been talking about it for a little while, but what this is this is a look at our presentation for the state capital budget that's going to be coming up in 2026. So the state capital budget offers, we've had some meetings to be able to discuss for, and I'll get down there to it, new live fire training facility. So these are our supporters with both refineries, BGSU, Fort County Career Center, Penna Career Center, Ohio State Highway Patrol. All the supporters are community partners in this project. But a live fire training center to be built out at the training facility. The total project is in the amount of $735,000. And in that, what that looks like would be something of this nature. So we do have a building out there now. That building was built in the 1980s. There's no plans to remove that building. But what that building will be really good for will be just a search and rescue. Because in order to be a 1402 certified to be able to do 1403 live fire burns, you have to have certain criteria within these buildings. We currently have, so you have to have an inspection on the buildings every 5 years. The last inspection for the current building out there shows about a $225,000 to $250,000 need for repair, and we just don't see in that size of amount to be able to put into that building. But what we can use it for still is large search and rescue ones where you can fill it up with smoke, you can put firefighters in it, so that building would still stay there. This building would be built on the current existing pad that's out there. So just wanted to touch base, or just wanted to share that with you. We will be presenting at the Toledo Chamber. We get a 10-minute time slot on December 12th. I just was notified today that we were able to do this presentation there, and then they'll select what's going to go in the state capital budget, and potentially for funding. The 260 account would be the last account. We do have a small request out of the 260 this year, as we did have a little discussion about the station number 42 and the living conditions at station 42. So this number is a ballpark, throw a dart at the wall number, kind of thinking about what we're going to potentially have. I know we talked a lot larger numbers in the past about station 42, but we're lucky to have good quality staff like Paul Buer on as one of our inspectors. And so we went and looked at Station 42, and this is what he's kind of drawn up here. And this would give us the 5 bedrooms, a lieutenant's office, and if I hit one more, it's a little bit bigger. A lieutenant's office over here, and then the remodel of those bathrooms to make 3 full bathrooms in the place. Now, I do want to kick this over to Mark, as we've been working on a lot of collaboration with this, and I'm very excited about what this might turn out to, as we've been working with Penta Career Center and their students, Clay High School and their students, to do a lot of the construction on Station 42. So essentially that $25,000 would be covering the HVAC units, would be covering the material cost, and then also covering the cost of what it would do to remodel it's too much extensive work for the bathrooms for the students. But you know what, I want to kick it over to Mark, as he's been leading that project, just to kind of talk a little bit about it.
Thanks, Chief. So this collaborative started last year and then pushed through to this year. And I was able to find out through Penta Career Center that they had a program for only $200 that they would construct and put together just about anything. And in that program, they had HVAC, plumbing, electrical, and carpentry. So they would be able to do a lot of these things for us, and it would only cost $200. That's all they request. Obviously, we're gonna have to buy the materials. And then Drew Lashaway, through Clay High School's carpentry program, is gonna come in and do all the demo. So through that program, it's gonna cost us $0 to get that demoed out. And then through the program with Penta Career Center, that $200 is gonna be able to have us put up the walls, run some of the basic electric, the steel studding, drop the ceiling down, put up the drywall. You know, all those things that you would think about, like if you were building a home. They're gonna be able to do all the basics. The heavy work is gonna be done by AA Bose, and I'm just waiting for an email from them for the final on the materials and labor costs for their end of it. They would do the heavy work. They would do the rooftop units for the air conditioning, the heat. They would do the internal runs. And then Penta County would come in and do the main runs to the rooms and finish any of that up. AA Bose would do the plumbing. They would do the cutting into the concrete, doing all the sewer work, and extending those walls out for those bathrooms that are up there. It's a great collaborative with everybody involved, as well as AA Bose. They're going to oversee the project. We've already been in contact with everybody. Everybody's pretty excited to get this started. And that is really going to help out both of these schools with these kids with experience when they go out into the real world, because this is what it's all about. Us giving back to that community that says, hey, we're willing to have this project. We want you on board. But then you're gonna get that real world experience that when you go out into the world for a job, you can check that box off that, yes, I have done this, and this is where I've done it at, and it's verifiable work. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Chief. Council, do we have any questions at this point? Mr. Drake?
Yeah, Mr. Clayton, back to that last slide. Just out of curiosity, is there a male and female side as far as with the beds and all that?
Yeah.
42.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Drake, you're saying at 42s, no, there wouldn't be a male and a female side, but those would be doors that they would go in, and those would be individual bedrooms.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
And then the bathrooms are just all unisex bathrooms.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
Mr. Chair, if I could. So just, again, for clarity, so how long will this extend the life of Station 42 in terms of having it be a usable station?
Mr. Chair, thanks, Mr. Roman. Yes, and that's one of the clarifications we wanted to put out there, is that this is just a very, very temporary fix. We're trying to do something very cheap for a project to see, you know, what we can do in the future. I know that there was a little discussion about the police department, and I couldn't be in agreement more that they need something. I would love to see a new police and fire combination, satellite for us, headquarters for them, you know, in Oregon. You know, I think that would work really, really well. And then, you know, this location here could be a satellite for them, so it's not used as much, but their court personnel and stuff could be there. I think that's a project that we could definitely begin to have some discussions on if that was to, you know, be something down the road. But as far as this goes here, we were trying to do something very cheap, but also to kind of meet the need, if you will. If this yellow part, just to give you a kind of an highlight, This yellow part is how the bedrooms are set up now. So they're cubicles, and they have a curtain, and this is the shower. And this is where the day room's at. So the shower is in the day room, and so it's a little, we're making things work, and making things work. This is where the weight room and stuff is at currently. We will move all those weights out. They will go into the bay, so they'll still be available at the fire department or at that fire station. And then this wall would just be a wall to make a hallway, and then now all this would be tore out and then just be a generalized, big, kitchen table / sit area, if you will. And then back here, because we needed that extra bedroom, because again, as we talked about 5, which we meet that here just because of the rooms sizes. But in the event that we have an extra, we have this 6th over here, which this would be a lieutenant's office. So the lieutenant office would be here, and then behind the lieutenant's office would be their bedroom. So this is where just the lieutenants would be at. And then essentially there'd be an access to a bathroom right here. And then there's 2 other accesses to bathrooms on this side. But there will be some heavy, as Chief Mullins has said, there's a lot of work in those bathrooms, and that's why we'll be helped with the schools doing the other stuff.
And just one additional thing to keep in mind, that these are students doing this work, so we only have them for up to 3 hours a day. So it's gonna take a little bit of time and patience to get this done. It's not gonna be something that's gonna be overnight or right away.
Do you have provisions until that's done?
Well, they're currently using the yellow area as it is right now. All that will stay in existence until everything is completed, and only until after everything is complete, the rest of that'll be torn out.
That's right.
And then just one additional question. Is there a ballpark number of what it would cost if we didn't have Penna and Clay working on this project? Is there an idea of what these renovations would look like?
Those are the numbers we're trying to wait to get back from, was AA Bose is putting together that material list and labor costs. And then after talking to the instructor down there at Penna, that was the best goal of kind of going after that, of seeing what you could reduce because of their labor. So we don't have that exact number right now. Just as if we've been working very hard diligently to try to get a better number, if you will, for this. But we just kind of put something out of like, okay, if you just had to do HVAC, materials in those bathrooms, can we get there? Can we be close? I don't know. I hope that we're close. But we'll kind of cross that bridge when we get there if need be. So,
Thank you.
yep. And then if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them. These are just pictures of inside of Station 42. So this is where they're sitting at right now. That shower and the bathrooms are just right off of that little sit area.
You can, you really can.
This area, this office area would actually turn into where, again, I can't thank Paul Buer enough. I mean, just for the mindset of the design of how these bathrooms would come out, so, yeah.
Council, is there any questions for the fire department? Beth, Steve, you guys have anything down there? No? We have anything down on this side? Excellent. You want to take just a couple minutes and we'll come back in for public service, and then we'll wrap it up for the evening. Thank you. All right, we're gonna get started again. We're gonna go into public service. That'll carry us there for the rest of the evening. When we're done here, then we'll talk about how we're gonna finish up. We had, like I said, we had planned for an additional 3 hours next week. I don't think we're gonna need that. So we'll come to a conclusion on how we wanna wrap it up next week after Paul's done. Mr. Roman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just before I get into the capital list, I want to talk about operating a little bit. I sent a memo to council last week for Mary Wolf's water distribution shop. They are hurting. There are a lot of workers that are planning to retire. There's one that's on sick leave. And, throughout last year, we talked about creating perhaps a working crew leader position. It just did not come to fruition with the union. And I think it was just an uphill battle. And the more we talked about it, it really just came down that we just needed another maintenance worker. So we did a comparison with other cities. And like I said, I think you've seen that memo, but we can certainly justify the need based on the miles of water line that we have. And I compared it to 4 other cities. And so I want to touch base about that. I know Joel mentioned on the street department of not mowing the right of way. I know people may have different views on that, but they did do a lot of extra work that we normally don't get done. And I'd asked Keith last night, I said, hey, could you just put together a list, just share it with council. And, he has 43 catch basins rebuilt, repaired, 400 feet of corrugated tile for Heritage Estates. We did additional drainage work there. Whittlesey, we did some drainage work. And then we also did drainage work along the bike path for Pickle. There was 11 different locations where they did sidewalk replacement. They not only did the tree removal, but they did the sidewalk. And all that type of work we contract out. So when you're doing it in-house, you do save money. You're not paying prevailing wages. But it's something that you do have personnel in the street department that have concrete as their background, or they worked for the city of Toledo and did asphalt work. They also did 25 different areas of using hot mix asphalt and doing base repair. And for doing it a first time, they happily surprised me. I had my doubts, but they actually did a very good job. And I think we want to do more work like that. So just wanted to highlight that. At the water and wastewater plant, we do have a couple vacant positions. The instrument tech operator 2 position. We don't know if there's many candidates out there with a journeyman's card, and we really want somebody with experience with high voltage power. So we are meeting with the union to try to rewrite the description to include that work, and that's something we would have to bring back to this council body to approve before we did that, and we would need union concurrence to do that as well. So just want to touch upon that. On the budget, as I say this every year, our budget's really a 3-year budget. There are projects that may go from 6 months to other projects that may be 3.5 to 4 years. And in each year, you're doing a certain phase of the project. So 1 year may be design, next year is right-of-way acquisition, third year is construction. So overall, we have 34 projects. 19 are will be under construction now or will start set to start in 2026. We have several projects in design, and we also have our annual maintenance projects. We did secure several other grant funds this current year in '25, the OPWC. We scored on both projects that we sent. Star Avenue was the one I brought up to council when we submitted the application, and we also got a water line design project. So I'll go to the first page of this, and keep in mind with our budget, I use a little bit different form. This form is used for OPWC because with OPWC, when you submit your grants, they want a 3-year, what's called capital investment program plan. And so I do use this, and then I reuse it again for budget. When you see something in bold, that is in the current year for the budget that we're budgeting for. So everything in bold is for the 2026 budget. If you ever wonder and you look at these projects, what funds it's coming from, you just look to the far right under the account and you'll see where it's coming from, okay? And like I said, there's some projects where money's already been encumbered for design that was done a year ago. That's not gonna be in the 26 budget. And so that's not in bold, okay? So road program, certainly we asked for more. I could ask for $5 million every year. And I think if you drive the streets, you'll know the main roads are in decent shape, but the neighborhood streets are beat. And the competition is great, and we're at a point where you're beyond the mill and fill stage of just replacing the road. You're now in the full rebuild. And sometimes it gives you a break. You can let it go to total failure, but when you go to replace it, it's 10 times the cost of mill and filling. Okay, so that's the problem we're in, and unfortunately, you can't get grant dollars for neighborhood streets. You only get them for the main roads, and again, we're doing good on the main roads, but we need to concentrate on our neighborhoods. So it's not what I wanted, but it's what we could afford, and that's what's in there. So $825,000 total. We do have a sidewalk program. A lot of what we have is city, where it's city trees that the roots are causing it, or it's a city sidewalk problem. I don't know if Andrea has planned to do an assessed project where it's not related to that, but that can always become a part of that. The Navarre Avenue Safety Project, again, a lot of grant dollars there, but the one killer to ODOT's projects, they don't cover aesthetics, so decorative lighting, they do not cover. And I think what Joel mentioned yesterday is inflation for roads. It's almost 25% higher than what it was a couple years ago. So a lot of times the local matches on these projects are killing us. But just like every project, even though we encumbered it in this current year, if we plan for change orders, so we always put a line item in for the following year for change orders in case they pop up. Hopefully we won't have any, but a lot of times you do. So Oregon Town Center Bikeway, Phase 5. Now this is a project, the bike path is gonna go from the light on Navarre at Walmart down through Paper Street, just east of Schmidlin, and then take Dustin all the way into Oregon Town Center. We do have a $400,000 grant for that. There's a few other projects that we're planning around this, but the money will be made available in 2026 to proceed with this project. It's still a big local match, but I can tell you it's a major connector piece to the rest of the city's system. So, and it will go into Town Center, and things are proceeding on Town Center. I do know that Chick-fil-A plans have been approved, or the Olive Garden plans have been approved. The Town Center itself, just to let you guys be aware of it, there is an old water, or a oil line easement. They're abandoned lines, but there's still ownership by Energy Transfer. But they are working with us to relocate the easement, and that will proceed, and it shouldn't hamper them too much longer, but that has been a slowdown for the Olive Garden site, just so you know, okay? We did get another grant, safety grant, I think, between Police Department and working with Rodney on Bay Shore and Otter Creek Road departure. It is putting in the chevron, the signs, the striping, and it includes the rumble strips in the center of the road and not the edge, so that at night, if you're weaving in and out, you're gonna hear the rumble, you're gonna see the better reflective reflectors, as well as the new striping. So, but they did get a grant that covers it up to $91,300. I believe Rodney presented an ordinance, perhaps, while I was gone, LP agreement, so they covered that. Okay, Star Avenue resurfacing project, I brought this up in the fall when we submitted to OPWC. We did score well on this. We got a $600,000 grant in addition to our TIP grant of $500,000. So it's on. We will proceed with that this year. It is a lot of rebuilding, the full rebuild of the concrete portion near 280, and then it's mill and fill everywhere else. We always have a line item for miscellaneous design, and I don't know if I'll just keep referring to. So I'm going to go to page 2. And Josette, I don't know if it matters to anybody having on the overhead, if everyone has a hard copy, so it doesn't matter. If you go to page 2, we always are involved with Lucas County for the Community Development Block Grant funds. Anymore, they take on the full cost of the project. We usually do the design in-house, and there's some cost to us, but otherwise, Lucas County will fund it through the CBG, and usually that's the handicap ramps and so on as part of that. So Pickle Road's Safe Routes to School, you guys were aware of us submitting that grant application. It really is a full walking path from Oak Tree Run and Heritage Estates all the way down to the Y and Oregon Town Center, filling in all the gaps where we can. There is a map actually at the back of this packet that shows the actual alignment. One thing I wanted to note, the total on my original CIP list was wrong, so I wanted to correct that. Now, this grant, we did not get the full grant amount. So our grant was $500,000, but it does go towards design. And so we are asking to proceed with hiring a design consultant to start it. It is a big project. There will be a lot of right-of-way acquisition. My hope is that a lot of property owners, we did send letters to every property owner. And a lot of them did call in just to get a feel for their interest. Some aren't necessarily for it, but others asked, hey, is there any way you can put in drainage? So what they may ask for is a barter exchange. If we put in catch basins or drainage, they may grant us that easement for this sidewalk, okay? So I think it may go very well. Actually, the area between Oregon Town Center and Laura Lane, a lot of those property owners on the north side of Pickle definitely ask for drainage because they don't have it. So I think that would be a really good barter, and it could go very well, but it could also be time consuming. So anyways, my ask is to proceed with the project, try to get those costs down on right away, and hopefully that local match isn't as high as we want it to be. We also received another grant, and this is interesting. The Wheeling Street is a national bike route. It's US 30. And we did do a master plan with Northwood to talk about someday connecting our system. And we learned that there was grant dollars for federal bikeways, and we applied and we did receive a grant. It pays 100% of the project up to $426,000. But what it would be is if you look at Bay Park Hospital with their walking path, it's about an 8-foot path, okay? What we're saying is to take the sidewalk along Wheeling from their Bay Park's campus all the way up to the I-280 interchange and turn it into a 10-foot bike path. So some people may say, hey, there's a good sidewalk there, why are you ripping it out? But you also can't pass each other on a 5-foot sidewalk. So this is a grant that would cover 100% of it and just make it wider. And I think I worry sometimes with council on how you think of these projects. I think when you get federal dollars, but you also have a comprehensive master plan where a lot of people have submitted surveys, probably one of the big asks are walking paths, more walking paths. So the Oregon Phase 5 trail and projects like this is really what the people want. And we've had those requests. So I think it's important to bring it up, but this is also something where it's being paid for through a federal grant. So there's some old items in this from past years. The intersection of Cedar Point and DuPont is very dark. We think there should be lighting there, but there's no Edison lights there. This is, if you remember years ago, we had, I'm trying to think of the guy's name that came in, asked for a solar light, Glenn, not Grisda, Glenn, anyways. So, yeah, so he tried talking us into solar, and we did do a lot of research, and I think it might be a good location to try it out. But we put money in this as if we had to run Toledo Edison cost to put in conduit just in case it didn't work out. But it is a place where we'd like to try it, and I still wanted to keep it in our budget, and that's why it's here. One of the things for Oregon Town Center, we just wanted to make sure with Isaac Streets at Navarre that we wanted to make sure whatever right-of-way we gave for the Town Center project that we included, that we could easily put in a double left turn at that intersection, and we did want to plan for that design in case that comes up in future years when it is fully developed. So we put in seed money for design for that. If you go to page 3 then, a lot of the Phase 2 EPA storm drainage regulations, we do have an annual budget. It's 40,000. I do have an attached listing of all those improvements, but when we talk about everything that Andrea does, clean your streams and all the great stormwater education that she does, it's included. It is required as a part of her permit, but obviously there's a budget needed for that, and that's what that includes. Earth Day refuse collection, you guys certainly are aware of that. You get some donations, but we also have a budget line item for that. Storm drainage, where we have a various line item. A lot of times blockage removals, if there's anything major, that's what that item covers. All of the wetlands, we still spray for invasive species, and that's an ongoing maintenance item. I'd like to see that cost come down, but it's still up there, but it's what you have to do to preserve the wetlands. I mentioned the Otter Creek stream improvements are just about done, but we did not hit our full grant dollar yet. And what we've asked for is to extend the project in '26 and consider more land acquisition and tree plantings as a part of that wetland project. It would be 100% covered through the grant, and I think it would add to it and improve the area overall. A lot of this area that we've done the wetlands are areas where you can't build anyways, and it does, provide cleaner water for the stream. So York Street Railroad and Culvert Bridge, this area is just west of Wallendorf on York Street. It's been in our list of work for some time. We did have the design done, but we still have right-of-way acquisition to do, and there's coordination with the railroad. We've struggled with Norfolk Southern. It almost takes a year to 2 years to get a permit with them, let alone right-of-way acquisition. So have it listed there. DuPont Road Culvert is another old item that needs to be done. It's in here again. So if you go to the page 4, the Corridor Road Bridge replacement, this is between Yarrow and the, just south of the Toledo Water Treatment Plant. We do have a grant that pays 95%, up to $817,000 for this project. 26 is the year that we proceed with the project. Still a local match to that. Again, it's a cap of 817, and again, inflation is what kills you. But it is a needed project. We did acquire all the right-of-way for that, and you guys are aware of that. Baywood Storm Sewer Pump Station, that is an item. Baywood is interesting because that area, we do assess them for electrical costs, and I think if you ever do a major capital replacement, it should be assessed, and that's something that would need legislation to do that. But I do keep it as a line item. There's a swale along Bay Shore Road that we've maintained it, but it really should be dredged, but it would need an Army Corps permit. So I do have it listed for that. We did hire OHM for the Coy Road Storm Sewer Replacement Project, and that is currently in design, but the bigger cost for that project will be right-of-way, because there is no right-of-way available along Coy Road to put anything in. You have oil lines along each side of Coy Road. You have the water, you have the sanitary. It will likely require a lot of right-of-way acquisition on the west side of Coy, between Mary Ellen and then just north of Country Farm. So just make you aware of that. Again, the only item for that project will be just the right-of-way in 26. We also put in future design projects, the Stadium Road Bridge over Wolf Creek and the Oakdale Bridge over Otter Creek are projects that we really need to start looking at replacing. The idea is get the design started, get an idea of cost, and then submit for grant applications. Go to page 5. I'll tell you, the Lakeshore Dike project I'm not giving up on. I've had this in the budget for a lot of years. The killer is when you do anything in the lake, you have to get what's called a submerged land lease. And we're very close to getting that with Ohio ODNR. And then the next step is to get an Army Corps permit, which we hopefully will go a lot quicker. But our plan is to proceed with that work this year, and I know those property owners are looking forward to that. Some of the owners that would benefit from that are on Luray. They've come forward to say, hey, when you do that, is there any way we can do an assessed project for drainage on our road? We said we could. There's a way of maybe just the people on the west side of Luray would be involved with our project and it would be assessed, but there'd be, the two projects could be bid together, which would be a savings to both the city and them. So I thought, we'll put in a line item for that. Patchen and Crescus is an old item, but this is something I just want to talk to you guys about. Wolf Creek has all these little tributaries that go through the backyards of a neighborhood. They're natural streams, but they existed prior to the city incorporating in 1957. So the killer is we have no right-of-way, we have no easements, we have no access to it. I could argue riparian rights that we have the right to go and clean it and maintain it, but I don't know if I have the rights to expand it. Every time I go in, I have to beg for permission. They still come forward and say, hey, can you go clean it out? And we try to do it, but I put in line items to consider going around it, that's all. And Cross and Landis is another one. It's flat, Landis is flat as a pancake. There's no drainage on it. Mahala is the other parallel street. This is over by Oakdale, just south of Oakdale. Mahala in the 60s did petition for storm sewers and they were assessed. And so when people on Landis are asking for storm sewers, they say, well, okay, are you petitioning? Well, I'm a taxpayer. Why do I gotta pay anything? I said, well, everybody's paid for their drainage in one shape or the other. They've either bought a lot in a subdivision where the developer put in the drainage or it was assessed. So everybody's paid for it. Well, they don't wanna hear it. But I gotta tell you, I do feel for some of these neighborhoods. In some cases, they're all rentals. They're never gonna sign a petition. And at the intersection of Cross and Landis, there's one lady who is the low of the neighborhood. All she needs is a storm sewer from Mahala over to her, but it's a big dollar item. And I still say she should be assessed. I don't think she feels she should be. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So at Landis, does that neighborhood flood? Because I mean, that ditch
There's an area, so Ms. Paul, if there's an area that's very flat that kind of drains south to that factory or to that industrial building back there. But her property is right at that corner with Cross, and she gets all the water. And it's so hard to tell her, hey, you got to get a petition project, and no one's gonna. It's been a failed attempt to get these petitions signed, and I feel like it's too big of a project for streets to do in-house. I mean, the sewer on Mahala is really deep to tap into, so I'd have to hire a professional to. It's not a huge project.
But it's hard to believe that area floods because
It does.
there at Metz and Tool and that.
does,
they've
it
got
does.
that Really
See,
deep ditch there.
If you look at also Brown Road, when it comes out to Woodville, your sister's neighborhood, a lot of the drainage, there's not much drainage in those neighborhoods. And at one time, there may have been these swales, and again, prior to the city incorporating, people just filled in these swales. Life went on. They did it on a weekend and put in a parking area for themselves. And that's the problem. And so on drainage, I tell them, well, if it's a major project, if I can do something to help a neighborhood and it's a small thing and I can have streets do it, I'll do it. But if it's a major item, over 25 grand, I'm bringing it to council, I think it should be assessed. And that's the hard part. I mean, it is hard getting that across.
You know where the railroad tracks are by Woodville Surplus?
Yes, yep.
All of that goes down.
Yeah, that's all hilly, yeah, yes, yeah.
So.
Yeah,
no wonder
the
that whole
Oakdale
area-
sewer went in and it served a lot of area, but Landis never got a storm sewer. Mahala did petition for a storm and tapped into the Oakdale,
Okay,
but Landis doesn't have anything.
I just can't believe it floods on it.
It does, yeah. So again, you had a drought this year, so, they stopped calling me when, it's dry, which I always pray for, and the farmers don't want to hear that. But, I think it's a line item that should be in here, so that's why it's here, okay? So I mentioned the Luray, the Seaman Road overpass fencing railing, we never got to that project, so they have that line item in here. Pickle Road storm sewer, a lot of, again, it helped, I think, to remove trucks from Pickle Road between Woodville and Wheeling. But the storm sewer is still in need of having the joints repaired. So that's what that is, that grouting of the storm sewers, repair those grouts. If you go to page 6, I have a lot of water line looping projects in here, which is to improve pressure. The one in particular at Athens, Coy, that is we want to get that done before the Oregon Phase 5 bikeway goes in. Okay, lead surface replacements, this is another one. We have 185 remaining. A couple years ago, we had 400. I have a fight with water distribution. They want to do these all in-house. The problem is they have so many water line breaks. They have so much work to do. And they are a great outfit. These guys are a band of brothers. They definitely go out on all these call-outs, and I get that they want to do everything, and I do trust them on all these lead service placements. But the problem is they're not getting done quick enough. So I will have discussions with them and talk about subcontracting or not. I do either want to get more done in-house, or I'm asking to contract it out. So that's something I'll have those discussions with the union about. They're aware of it.
Can I ask you a question on
Yep,
this?
yeah.
Are we under a timeline from the EPA or the Department of Health to get these changes
No,
and remove them?
no, but here's the thing. When the ones that remain, you have to do more testing. So as long as they remain, you have to test them more. So it's wise to just get rid of them. And when you're doing this, when we do this work, we ask them on their private side, if it's an old galvanized line, we tell them to replace it at the same time. And that's on the property owner. We do help them out. We do give like 0% loans for a 2-year period that helps them out, and they just pay it back on their bill. But it is trying to improve and get rid of these old lines. Now, I would argue we properly treat our water so that these pipes don't corrode, but it is just wise to get them done and out of here. So that's why I'm bringing that up.
Mr. Roman?
Yep.
In what you have here with the 185 remaining, does that $500,000 take care of all 185?
Yes, if I subcontracted out, that would, and I think that is the goal, to knock them out. You know, it could be plus or minus, Mr. Horniak, but that's what we feel it would take to hire someone to do it.
And you think taking that on in 2026 could be accomplished in 2026?
Yeah, that would be my hope.
You could get them all done in 1 year.
That is my hope and my ask. And again, if it's a matter of a combination with the union doing some, and again, I trust the union more than a contractor, don't get me wrong. But I do think unfortunately, they're just loaded with work. Correct.
How long did it take that bulk of that 400 to do? Because there was 400.
I mean, it's been like 4 or 5 years now. I mean, to get it down to here. I'm just saying, I mean, again, our lines aren't corroding, okay, you know, and it's not like it's a major problem, but it's something that requires testing because the EPA requires it. They're the ones pushing to get, and by the way, there'll be letters that go out to every property owner. If they still have lead lines, we have to do that every in December, we have to send letters out addressing this. Okay, so the more we knock out, the better.
If the requirements change somewhere over the next 12 months, 24 months, it could impact when and how you do that anyhow.
Correct.
So it could be more than just testing.
That's
There
correct.
could be other
That's correct.
requirements. that come into
Galvanized will
play.
be the next hit. It'll be the old galvanized lines will be the next hit beyond lead, so.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. And then the other OPWC project I mentioned was a Star Addition. This is off of just north of Star. I think we call it Skunk Hollow. I shouldn't say it that way, but that's the area if you're more familiar with that name. But that area, we did receive a $500,000 OPWC grant, but we will go after a loan to pay for the bulk of that project through the EPA. So the water treatment plant expansion, they are about 80% done with preliminary design. This is a giant project, and I just want to bring this up. The water treatment plant the way the plant was originally designed was to expand in 8 million gallons per day increments. So years ago, we went from 8 to 16. That was a $20 million expense, and that was done 20 years ago. Right now, to go another 8 MGD is going to be closer to $120 million. The design alone will be over $5 million. I'm saying just to do the design, we need to get a loan, okay? So it's a serious step to go forward with this expansion, all right? And just the financing of it. Now, as much as that seems like a giant number, our rates are very low. We are the lowest water rate in Northwest Ohio. When you add sewer to it, I'd say we're among the lowest. Bowling Green is still very close to us, if not a little bit better. But because we have a large water user, okay, which is Synovus, they are our biggest water user, because you have them, even though they get the bulk rate discount, they're paying half of your operating, half of your capital. So when you do have big water users, it does help the other consumers because it's keeping your bill down. When you include them in this, you know, I remember when we did that expansion, well, let's put it this way, when we did Ozone was $16 million to do that. The minimum bill for a $16 million project went up $1 a month. Went up 12, and I remember a lady in the audience, she goes, well, that's a pizza, that's the cost of a pizza. I said, well, you're right. That's because your rates are low and you have a really big customer, okay?
I
Now,
thought it was $9.
no, the minimum bill was like $1 a month. It may have been $10. I think the average bill was $20. You're right, Kathy. So the point is, if you multiply that by 5 for a $100 million project, it's still doable, okay? But it's a big project, you know? And so it's all doable, but what amount do I am I expanding to, you know? I think 8 MGD is plenty. But I think we have to be, you know, and I do, when we're talking about big water users and anything else that's coming down the road here, and how we grow as a city, the comprehensive master plan. What's our plans for the future? What do we expect? What is the potential of industrial growth, commercial growth? That all goes through my head. So I have Arcadis asking me, what is my projection? And it's like, I have a good sense of things, but I wanted to see that comprehensive master plan get approved first. And I want the sense of council's view on development in general before we pull the trigger on that final design and before we decide on that final number. And I'll present more to city council when we have the report. Now, when you look at our budget, we spend a lot of money on lime softening, just like Toledo does. And just the purchase of lime is around $700,000 a year. Then you gotta get rid of the spent lime, which you can put on farmland and so on, but you've had some companies get in trouble because, you know, they don't have a place to put it. They're gonna put it in old salt mines and so on. Anyways, what we looked at is reverse osmosis, which is probably the best treatment, but it's very expensive. You're putting water through a pressurized filter, but you can get away from lime softening. So if you think about it, you have this huge capital expense, but if you're gonna save on lime, purchasing lime and spent lime removal, there might be a payback in going to that.
Would you convert totally to reverse osmosis?
No, I think it'd be partial. I think it would just be partial. You could still keep part of the old traditional plant going, but maybe go to the next half or an
The newer
8
side or
MGD to go to
whatever.
reverse osmosis and then have that in your toolbox. So it's
So
a
it won't be
common.
as big, though.
Huh?
It won't be as big, then.
No, you'd still go an additional 8
two
MGD.
plants.
It's just part of the treatment process will be for reverse osmosis. The other one will be the traditional lime softening and everything else.
So it would be like doubling our capacity.
Well, I'm saying, I think there could be a payback, a savings on your chemical cost for lime. So it's something that's gonna come up. I will have a committee meeting just to talk about the water treatment plant expansion, several meetings, and before we pull the trigger on design. What I'm asking for is to go to full design. It would be subject to getting a planning loan through the EPA, okay? So I just want to make sure that really clear. All right. We have miscellaneous water line repairs. I have a water meter backflow for city buildings. Every year, we have to report our water losses to the EPA. Traditionally, I can tell you the national average is around 12 to 13%. We've always been below 10%. One year, we had 1%. We're probably around 5% now. But when you get a better handle on what city buildings are using, it's easier to calculate. And a lot of our city buildings don't have meters in it. They need to be in it, just to keep track of things. All right, sewer. A lot of these are same programs we've had in before. The sanitary sewer rehab, Phase 3, you're aware of that area around Randall, Star area. But part of that work is that the main construction has been encumbered. We always put in a line item for change orders. We still have the I reduction, flow monitoring. These are two items from before that Don has not been able to pull the trigger on, but we will get to that. The I reduction basement backup prevention program. Good news is less people are asking for that because you know why? There's less backup. And the reason why is we've reduced our I. We're actually in really good shape. We've had some very low flows at the wastewater plant, and I know it was a drought, but Don's work is definitely paying off on reducing I. So on the next page, we also have been looking for an asset management program. It's a software program to keep better track of when to replace our city infrastructure. We've not pulled the trigger on that. Our hope is to do it in '26. The GIS system, our system that we use for all our in-house designs, I think we just had an ordinance just the other day for Esri, which is the ARC software. That's included here, but all the other costs are there. The street garage facility is almost done. I think it's almost complete. We wanted a line item for security fencing and a gate, so we put that in here into that item. One item that we've never done is Navarre Avenue dust and aesthetic improvements. I think it's something that council needs to think about what you want to do in terms of making the city more attractive. If you ever wanted something on the missile barrier of I-280, or other places of the city, I think it's this group to decide for things like that. Seed money like this can go towards that. ADA citywide transition plan. We always thought the government would come down on us for this and not having a plan, but I think it's something we need to put together eventually, and we have a line item for that. And probably one of the final capital project is a potential boat launch. We've talked about really swapping land with Walleye Energy, and we would basically vacate street right-of-way that's east of Otter Creek, where they would obtain that land, and in trade, they would give us their land on the west side of Otter Creek by the Bayshore plant. And in that area, we think would be a perfect boat launch. The idea is to get that moving. We have met with Wally, Joel and I, and they are on board with it, but I think there's a lot of red tape they have to go through to make decisions like that. Toledo Edison is another land order. The Port Authority is another land order that we have to talk about. But I know the Harborview Yacht Club is definitely on board to write any type of support letter for any of this, and would certainly help us and try to acquire a grant. Everything else I have in here are office items for there's a iPad replacement, small things like that are in here. One oddball thing is the sound deadening insulation for interior office walls. I can tell you, I can hear everything in the mayor's office and in all the other offices. We did it with separate Joel from us, and it definitely helped. And I think would like to do it if we can, but I understand if you want to cut it, I understand that. There's only one item that got cut that involves water infiltrating. Is our salt dome roof is just shot. It is just shot, and I really wish we would have done it a couple years ago. We didn't. It was a cut item. I know we can get by, but if there's any money that comes available, that roof is, the cost of just regular shingle roofs is around $250 grand. If there can be any thought of any money coming back into the budget, that'd be my one of the first items I'd want, let alone more road replacement. So for what it's worth, that's it. Happy to answer any questions.
250 grand?
Yep.
I got a question.
Yep.
Where
Yeah, in the fire budget, or the target.
where are we with ultraviolet?
The UV is complete.
Is it running?
Yeah, at the wastewater plant. Yep.
It's up and running?
Yep. And that's a savings.
Is there a
That's
big savings with chlorine?
Yeah, because you're no longer buying chlorine, you're probably saving about 60 grand a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a good
awesome.
project. Yep.
Awesome. I wondered when that got completed, because I don't remember hearing about it.
Yep. Any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Roman, you were talking on Coy Road with the oil lines that run on either side of the roadway. I know that I've been asked many times about an expansion on Coy.
Yeah.
That's not feasible with those lines there, is it?
It's not without relocating the lines. I mean, anything's feasible, but it comes out, I have no plans to widen Coy Road. A lot of times what we did was just to provide a paved berm. People so confuse that with widening it as for
Yes.
another lane, and that was never the case.
Got you, okay. And then also, on the bike path, or the path on Pickle, is that just gonna be on the edge of the roadway like we have on Star, or is
That's a
that
good
gonna be a separate path?
That's a good question. We don't know yet. I think here would be off-road, but down towards between Coy School and the bike path to the east by Heritage, that section is different. We thought, we know we could do it off-road, but it's difficult, all right? And even cost-wise and right-of-way acquisition is gonna come into this. That's what makes it, so we still have to design it, just to make it really clear, okay? In this area, it's mainly sidewalks, just so you know.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Does any council member have questions for Mr. Roman? Mr. Drake?
Yeah, I don't have a question. I was out at the water treatment plant today. I haven't been out there in a while. I was talking to some of the workers out there, not that they brought it to my attention, I brought it to theirs.
Yeah.
I didn't know, a lot of times, I believe on the holidays, weekends, midnights, there's only one person that works out there.
Yeah.
And I know some of those turbines with the water, and they're telling me about the suction. If you'd fall in there, you'd never get out.
Yeah,
I just, and I know you can't just hire a babysitter to babysit the person working.
Yeah.
But my thoughts are, I just find it hard to believe that something that's been there as long as it's been there. And there's gotta be something for two people to do during the night other than checking things. I mean, even going outside at night, I mean, somebody could fall on the ice and split their head open and
Yeah.
nobody would know it. And the other thing I brought up, I'm sure the police and fire go out there, and I'm not trying to call them out.
Yeah.
I mean, they could go there 20 to 30 times a year to do training, and I think it would take years to figure out where everything is and where's what and this and that. And to me, it's just, I think it would be nice if there's a way they could figure out where to keep two people busy enough where somebody could be there so they're not there alone.
Yeah, and I can say this, Mr. Drake, it's interesting now, both plants are fully automated, okay? So you have the SCADA system that operates it. In some cases, and this is, I would never go to this, but Perrysburg, their wastewater plant, they don't man a second or third shift. I mean, I just don't get that. I mean, you get a rain event or some crazy thing that happens and nobody's there. I could never see that. But when you have someone in the second and third shift, you try to make it so that they're not doing major maintenance or major capital. And we also set it up so that they have to hit what's called, I hate to call it this, but it's called the babysitter alarm. They hit it every hour. And it's to make sure that everything is okay and
A
that.
lot can happen in an hour.
Correct, I know that.
You can
But-
change that baby's diaper, but 5 minutes
I
later,
get
that
it,
baby's
I get it. We've
screaming again.
Yeah, we've done it. I mean, the water plant's been operated this way for 70 years, and wastewater has been the same since the 70s. And I know some plants have gone to nobody, and I've always told the union, I'll never go to that, because I just don't think it's wise. It's something we can always look at, Mr. Drake, you know.
I mean, I'm
I
just
appreciate
saying,
it.
I thank God nothing has ever happened to somebody, but it's just, I know Kathy, that's her, I believe she does the water plant. I thought
Yeah,
should have said something to Kathy
I-
maybe before, but
I can tell you if
I'm sorry, what was that?
you're the chairperson for that, aren't you, Kathy?
No,
No, Steve.
Steve is, all right, I'm sorry.
no, but I was gonna ask that question too, because there was an employee, where was it, that had the accident and
Yeah,
drowned?
yeah, you're right.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So, again, you have, you gotta make sure too that the plan is safe in general. I mean, it doesn't, even if you have the full body workforce there, someone can fall into a tank, so you gotta be careful. I mean, just safety in general. We've made a lot of improvements at both plants, fall protection and better railing, and that, a lot of the UV project was adding safety precautions to everything. But no, again, we try not to have them do, a lot of it is checking, taking readings through the night. It's not major capital, or major maintenance.
So they only have one person there at night, or?
Yep. That's it. And the water plant is extremely secure, but that security system is, you know what? I could go into more items, and that is one of the items, is a new security system for the water treatment plant that is in there. There were some items for, Keith did not have anything major in his. There are, like I mentioned, them doing more asphalt work, a skid steer that can do more paving, but they don't have like a plow in there or anything major like that. Let me think here. I mean, I can go into that if you want, if you guys want, as a part of your questions. Let me go into that real quick, just to cover it, just fully cover my budget. Here, I can hear Nick a mile away. Under streets, mainly in 210, Keith has asked for a skid steer pavement berm machine. It's actually for laying asphalt as well, and again, they're getting good at that. We need new traffic software to operate our traffic lights. I'm on page 6 in the capital improvement summary. And that's also where you would have had money for a new roof for the salt dome. That's why I had that note there. But if you look at the items there under 210, 3120, equipment trailer for a mini excavator, 35,000, 18-inch pavement saw, 30,000. The Tactics software, again, it's a traffic software upgrade. They did have a place unit 47, which is a leaf machine. And then they had the skid steer. In Mary's shop, which is on page 18, they had a utility trailer and a Kubota utility vehicle. What Mary's asked for is when they do the hydrant flushing, she can make it a one-man operation where they can drive the truck and a trailer with the Kubota. The problem is you gotta work at 2 hydrants at the same time. So if you do that, you could go to one hydrant with the truck and trailer, take the Kubota to another hydrant, go to another one. You can do it as a one-man operation versus a 2-man. So it seemed like a good idea, and also getting a 6-ton asphalt hot box for her, where they can do a lot more asphalt replacement in-house and do it sooner. And
Mr. Roman?
yeah, yep.
Probably about 10 years ago, maybe a couple more than that, back when Marty was the head of the street department,
Streets uses that hot box quite a bit.
with the hot box, but also we had an infrared
Yeah, I
that
just
we
don't.
had to have, that was,
Oh,
did
yeah.
it get used any, and
It
should
did
that
get used,
should that
Tommy,
get on-
but honestly,
Should that go
well,
on,
you know too.
should that go on Gov Deals?
That's about it.
I mean, we
That's about
had
it.
to have that thing. It was gonna be the best thing. We were never gonna have to pave a road again.
Trust me, welcome to budgeting. Yeah, the best thing was buying the hot box.
I mean, instead of storing it, is that a piece
Yeah,
of
it's something we
equipment
could
that we
look at,
should
get rid-
look at getting rid of
Keith-
equipment we don't
Keith
use?
did, I can tell you when Keith took over, we did get rid of a lot of equipment that Marty had. I know that. And went on Gov Deals and sold, yeah, things like that. And you know what, that's a general question across the board, if they're, especially for storage.
Yeah, why are we storing stuff that we're never gonna use again?
I'll talk to Keith.
And then, you know, you had talked about the new maintenance building that's being made, and then that fencing that goes along Diamond Number 1 at the Oregon Rec Complex. are we gonna remove that fence and clean that up so actually people can sit
I
and
believe
watch
so. I believe that's
baseball,
part of
softball game
moving that
there?
whole storage area over into the new, yes.
I mean,
I'll
'cause-
talk to Keith about it.
Cause that's
That
got,
is-
we gotta clean that up and,
Yep,
you know, cause,
Is that dirt road still up
yep.
against the building?
yes, it's, yeah, the pathway, that was,
25 years.
yeah, so if we can clean that up,
Yep.
that'll improve the recreation department also.
Okay.
Council, is there any questions for Mr. Roman? Councilwoman Ackerman?
Mr. Roman, I had a question about, I didn't know we could ask as you went along because you clipped.
Oh, I'm
and
sorry
you're
if
on a
I
clip.
went-
No, that's okay.
I always figure I'm
There's-
boring enough,
there-
so.
No. They're easy ones for you. On that Wheeling Street bike path,
Yeah.
would that impact like Sprague's or
Yeah, and-
Sobiar's?
It'll all fit with,
It'll-
like, it'll fit through there, but it is tight. and I
Yeah, it
need
looks like it's a good
Yep.
cutout, his drive-through right in
Yeah.
front of the
They'll
place.
probably
I
have
was just-
displays on it.
Yeah, I was just curious. And then on that, page, which page am I on? 3, where you talk about the 50,000 for the tree plantings, is that part of the 50,000 for the tree commission trees, or is that on top of?
I don't know. So in the
This would be,
capital,
this would be separate. This
the-
is part of Don's project.
Okay.
That she, that
On
we
the,
mentioned.
yeah, I'm sorry, on the
The
Otter
Otter Creek.
Creeks.
yeah, no, that would have to be, well, it could count towards trees being planted somewhere, yes. But that
Okay.
would be through that grant in that area.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And then, I just had I asked a while ago, but it's a matter of safety that the turnaround, to have a turnaround at the end of at the north end of Eastwood, because, and it looks like on my map that the city owns the
It-
end of the street.
There may
and-
be a line, yeah, there may be a line item
Did I
for
miss it? Which one is it?
It's under my capital budget on turnaround Eastwood, 35 to 50
Oh,
grand.
I'm sorry, which page is that?
So on the very first page of this, of the document here, under the annual road program, it says turnaround.
Oh, gosh, okay, great, thank you, because I was like, oh, man, I hate to ask about it,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Thank you so much, because that is after I rode with the Republic driver and
Yeah.
watched, and as he's backing out onto Star, I was just like, oh my gosh, it's so scary.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great, thank you.
Okay, that's,
Yeah. Does any other council member have questions for Mr. Roman? Nothing? Okay, so moving forward, Joel, we have recreation, and then just wrapping up the budget. Recreation is gonna take about a half hour-ish?
Yes,
Okay, and then a wrap-up gonna take 20 minutes to a half hour?
yeah.
So we got about an hour left, council. We have about an hour left. Do we want to come in next Wednesday? Or do we come in an hour early on the 7th to wrap this up?
The 8th.
The 8th, I'm sorry, yeah, we don't want to come in on Sunday. Do we wrap it up then? Because they'll want to pass the budget on the 8th or the 15th, and it will be passed before on our last regular meeting of the year.
Mr. Chair, just from finance perspective, I would ask that we have a meeting a little bit earlier, so it gives us some time in case there are any changes that need to be made.
So if we have
Just
it
to make
on
sure
the
everything's
8th and we vote on it on the 15th,
Yes.
We could do that. I would prefer to.
so you want to come in on Wednesday, the 3rd? You're the one.
What's wrong
I
with
don't
the
necessarily
first?
want to, it just, it would make it easier on the finance department. I know, we're not the only ones that matter, but it would make it easier.
We still have the following regular business meeting, expected to be what would be the 22nd.
Yeah.
Mr. Walczak, I had asked the other day, we were just talking, and I said, in years past, we have taken the second committee of the whole meeting in December and turned that into a regular business meeting, so we didn't have to meet the week of Christmas. We've done that for
Correct.
that would make it the 15th.
Yeah.
That would be the last official meeting if we chose to do that.
Yeah.
So if that's something that council would want to contemplate, then the 15th would be the date we'd have to have the budget passed.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Mrs. Ackerman?
I'd rather meet on the 1st next week when Monday night freed up now apparently, so why couldn't we do that
We
and then
could-
get away from the
We
holidays?
we could do that also. I mean, what,
It's just an
Monday
hour.
at, Steve, when is your swearing in ceremony? What's the timing? 6. We want to do this at 7? We'll do 7 to 8 and we can get wrapped up.
Stay away from the holidays, stay away from Christmas if you can.
Is everybody
And give
okay
Nick
with
his
that?
space.
6:30, I mean, swearing in realistically is probably not gonna take an hour.
Well, the person that's swearing them in is going to take a long time.
Yeah, really, are you gonna drag it out, Drake, or are you gonna make this like,
Or is there any chance we could do it at 5 o'clock on Monday? I mean,
Oh, before it?
that's easier for people in the building already. I know it's
True.
harder for council members,
Well,
and I don't know how your guys' schedules are.
Mr.
but-
Solander,
Yeah.
Councilman Solander,
can you make time?
5 o'clock on Monday, is that something that you're amenable to?
He's checking his schedule. His busy schedule.
I mean, okay, why don't we shoot for Monday at 5, if that's okay? I mean, is everybody's work schedule okay to do it Monday at 5? Obviously, you're gonna be mayor at that time. Well, not yet, you'll be, not quite yet, but you're gonna be being sworn in. But why don't we do that? Why don't we change our planned budget meeting to the 1st as opposed to the 3rd, and we'll do it at 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and that should wrap up all of our budgeting. Everybody good with that? So we'll set it for the 1st then. All right, at that point in time, we'll seek a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Can I get a second? Second by multiple people, so meeting is adjourned.